let's take this bike out for a spin. Always wear a helmet. I don't have a motorcycle helmet, so but I do have a ballistic helmet. Wear what you got, even if the neighbors look at you strangely. Howdy folks, it's Rifle Chair, and today we're taking the Rokon out for a bit of a spin. What is a Rokon? Well, essentially this is an all USA made two-wheel drive bike where the front wheel drives and so does the rear wheel. So you're actually getting pull and push from both drive wheels. It's a two-wheel drive bike, not just a rear wheel drive bike. These are great. You don't go anywhere fast, but you will get there. And guaranteed that at the end of the day you're gonna feel like you've been riding a Rokon. Your shoulders are gonna hurt, your abs are gonna hurt, because these things are a workout. However, it's gonna get you where you need to go. This thing is pure and simple nuts and bolts, no fancy computers, none of that stuff. You can tear the whole bike down with a 9/16 inch wrench and a crescent wrench, and I believe a 3/8 inch. So why would you own a Rokon? Well, essentially, if you want to go places an ATV can't go, then you own a Rokon. Okay, there's places like in this kind of bush that you see here, an ATV just can't go because there's too many trees in the way. However, this thing, you can meander in between the trees and get to where you need to go. Why is that beneficial? Well, it's especially beneficial if you're moose hunting and you've dispatched an animal and you've got to get it back to the road to your truck. This is a great way of towing moose quarters out of the bush rather than having to put it on your back and walk it out. Just an alternative. Also, the Rokon only weighs, it doesn't weigh very much. I think it's like 250 pounds, 275 pounds. You can actually lift this up. Two guys can lift this thing up and throw it into a boat if you want to. Okay. Also, considering the light weight of it, it leaves a very, very small footprint so far as the PSI, pounds per square inch, on the actual tracks. So if you want to go through some sensitive areas and not chew the ground up, this is a great tool for that purpose. This bike. Rokon. This particular model is the Rokon Trail-Breaker, and I like it because it's olive drab. Also, the Trailmaker, you notice the unique wheels. They're hollow. Right now they just have air in them, which means that for all intent and purposes, this bike will float. You can walk it across the swamp, get to the other side, and carry on. Or you can fill them with fuel for extra distance, for extra, if you want to extend how far out you can go and return, you fill the wheels with fuel. Or if you're going across arid country, you can fill them with water. Okay, just a couple of options there. The engine is a Kohler engine. I believe the newer ones have Hondas. It's a 4-stroke engine, which means it doesn't take mixed fuel, unlike the older ones. And these things are friggin' bulletproof. One thing I have discovered with the Rokon, though, is that they're not submersibles. They don't like that. I didn't intend to submerge the Rokon, but the water was a lot deeper than I thought it was. Let's put it that way. It was a very wet, cold, and miserable day. If you want a ride that is going to be soft, comfortable, then you don't want a Rokon. If you want a ride that's going to get you to where you need to be, and it's not going to cost you a lot of money, I think the MRSP on these things is around $13,000. I bought this used. But it's had fairly low mileage on it, and what a great bike. What a great bike. I do have saddlebags that I've retrofitted for this this particular bike. They are old Swiss Army, the rubberized canvas and leather rucksacks. They fit nicely on the ass end with some leather straps and whatnot. I don't have them on right now because I've got a rifle mount out here for hunting season, so I don't need them right now. But a rugged bike. So this is a 2006 Rokon Trail-Breaker, and I've actually put a few miles on it now and gone places I never thought I'd be able to go to, thanks to this. A few features: there's no gear shift on the handlebars. This here is a gear shift, right here. Okay, you got a total of 3 different speeds, and in between each speed there's a neutral. So you're not actually shifting from one gear to the next, you're actually moving from first to neutral, to second to neutral to third. There is no reverse. So who needs reverse anyways? And this here is the air intake right here. Don't get this wet. The only reason you're going to make this thing shut off is if you get this underwater. In here, it's really easy, just 2 screws. Inside there's an air intake. There's a piece of foam over top of the air intake. You got to take the foam out, clean it out every once in a while because it gets full of, stuff, water. This here is there is an electrical start on this device, but I generally don't use it. I like to use the pull start. This here is a fuel filter, and this here is your fuel shut off. I always have the fuel shut off when I'm in transit between A and B, or just having it in storage. Real heavy duty chain right here, and obviously a sprocket drive on both wheels. This here is good for saddlebags, so nothing ends up touching the chain or the tire. Great bikes, great bikes. There is a shock absorber right here underneath the seat. The seat does have the capacity to actually have a little bit of shock absorption. However, I would never notice it. It's real rough. The newer ones have a little bit more give and play. They got a redesigned front end. This is one of the older bikes. Tires here are rated for up to 35 psi. However, if you want a smooth ride, you run with low inflated tires. I've got 20 in there right now, and it's still too hard. I say probably 10 to 15 would be max. Unless you're going to be carrying a lot of payload and gear, or towing a lot, I'd have the tires loaded probably around 10, maybe even less. This here is the an aftermarket rifle mount, and I tie her down to this area here. There are foot pegs for a rear seat driver, or a rear passenger, if you're so inclined. And the front pegs here are great because they, if you're really in tight quarters, you can flip them up, or they'll flip by themselves. Got a lot of clearance under here for running over logs. You walk the front tire up the log, because again, remember, the front wheel is a drive wheel. You walk the bike over the log. You've got lots of clearance here. These skid plates here, I've slid this thing up and down, kind of like a teeter-totter over a big log, and the rear drive wheel kicks you over. You'll notice up here, we've got the knuckle busters protectors here. Absolutely must for bikes like this. Let's do a quick 360 of the bike. Knuckle busters, as previously stated. And we have our brakes. We've got dual brakes. Front brake is on the right. Rear brake is on the left. Neither of these brakes are hydraulic. The newer bikes do have hydraulic disc brakes. These are good old-fashioned elbow grease to make these suckers work. There's your drum and caliper right there. Caliper here, drum right there. Fair amount of life left in these yet. Okay, moving around. Oh, and incidentally, here's your tire pressure gauge. It's inside the wheel right here. And if you want to get inside the wheel so you can fill it with gas or with water, this is where you do it here. And incidentally, this here is your chain tensioner. Right? You just you loosen this off here and there. Actually, you loosen this off here. You loosen this off here, and you loosen off this nut, and you can gauge the height of the tire here. These are 12-inch rims. This is good and solid. Hell for stout. The headlight isn't the strongest in the world so far as illuminating where you're going, but it works well enough. Tire guard. Here we do actually have a little bit of debris that we just got caught up in the spokes. Tiny little piece of 3/8 inch root or something like that got mixed up in the chain here. Managed to get it out, most of it, but there's a little bit remaining. Good spot for grease right here, and you can see kind of like a universal joint right here for the front drive. Moving along, here's the rear brake underneath the seat. Kind of a strange place for it, but there's things get a little bit compact in the back here. Try to keep this the brake up and out of the water, so that out of the mud and out of the water. A little bit of electronics back here, batteries under there. Here's the if your passengers are so inclined to rest their feet. Most don't, because I don't usually take passengers. Here's another chain tensioner right here for your wheels. And incidentally here, have a look at the muffler. There's a spark arrestor there, which I'm probably going to remove. That's just a place for carbon to build up and plug your exhaust. There's a heat shield right here on the exhaust, which is only about like an inch exhaust. Lots of backing there for saddlebags. Rear brake light. This is a feature for any of your attachments. If you're going to have a trailer or something to that effect, this is simply a towing mechanism here. For a trailer, or if you want to put a plow on here. What else can I tell you? That's pretty much it for all the basics. Here's your here's your sprocket for your chain. This is Rifle Chair in the Rokon, signing off, and as always, Maple Leaf up.